here in Anacapri it's just coming up to 20 to 9. Usually San Michele is open at 9. I'm just walking past one of the biggest hotels here and it's looks like it's closed. It's a real surprise. It has to be said, it just looks like Capri is still in hibernation at the moment. Nobody's open for business yet. If the weather was better, everything along here would already be open. It is going to be a better day today. It hasn't rained for about 24 hours, but the island is still kind of drying out really. So we'll have to see how it goes. But I got the bus app. I did consider shooting the bus trip because there's amazing hairpin bends that you go through. And the thing is, I've done it many times, so because I normally stay in Anacapri rather than Capri town. And Anacapri means above Capri, so we're much higher up now. Up above, beyond Monte Solaro on the escarpment, and then Monte Solaro is off there in that direction, and it's a gradual decline as it comes down through Anacapri right to the sea. But it was absolutely packed. You know, the buses are tiny, and you know, it's standing room only at the best times. I managed to sit down. There's loads of school kids and what have you on there. But I'm up here before the tourists, which is the main thing. Villa La Scala. And we're on Viale Axel Munthe now. And Axel Munthe was the Swedish doctor who ministered to Queen of Sweden when she lived here. There's 20 or 30 years of the 20th century, and that's the road. You can take that little path up there to Monte Solaro. I've walked down there. I'm not going to do that today. I'm going to take the chairlift up and down. I usually just take the chairlift up and then walk down, but not today because my legs are so tired, but there you go. going to show you the Phoenician steps now. That's what they're called. But the theory is it wasn't really the Phoenicians that built them, but they've been here for a very, very long time. And there's about 1,000 of them. I have walked down here. I'm not going to do it today. And I'll just show you a picture of Pat, the video widow, on them, which was taken back in 2015. Yeah, and as you can see, the weather is looking up, though there is still some mist. And in the distance there, where the mist is, Villa Lysis is over there, and Villa Jovis, where we were yesterday. This time of year, this is usually a profusion of flowers, and they're not out so much this year because it's been so wet. I mean, obviously the rain helps, but you need the sunshine as well, and that's been in short supply here for a few weeks, so it's not as verdant as it usually is. This is the Bird Conservation Centre. The Axel Munthe Foundation is a charity set up for conservation and to look after the villa and this spectacular garden. So if you're horticulturally inclined, you really can't go wrong here. Up above the villa there's an old Castellato Barbarossa, which is almost like a bird sanctuary now. You can take tours up there. I've never done it, I'll do it one day. It's quite vertiginous. I got here, as I say, at 9, and normally you have the place to yourself till 10 before the parties arrive. So I'm going to try now and dodge the few people who are here and try and take some more shots inside. But as you see, it's fantastic. You can't have a picnic here, by the way. okay? So if you come here, be good. There is a roof terrace cafe, which is fantastic. I don't think I'm going to spend any time there this time because there's already too many people here for me, but I just managed to beat the crowd. Fantastic. It's all about timing with travel in this part of the world. It's all about getting out early and making the effort and getting there before the crowds. So in the background there's actually a guided tour behind me now, and normally, as I say, you can avoid that sort of thing until 10, but money must be made for the foundation. And you would have seen me in Concilia buying a copy of a new copy of the story of San Michele in the Concilia edition, the John Murray one, as I think I've said, and I've always struggled to read it, to be honest. I've always felt he was a bit of a self-aggrandizing character, and you know, he was this philanthropist and animal lover, you know, which you can't really fault him for, but a lot of people said that, you know, he was like, you know, sort of very fake, and not the word I use, but that's how he came across to many people here, many of the famous people here. So he obviously divided people. We're going to look in the house now, and of course he didn't actually live here very much. He mostly lived at Torre Margherita, which is a tower further down Anacapri towards Faro, the lighthouse, and he rented the place out now and again. And somebody he rented it out to once was Luisa Cassata, the Marchesa, the mad girlfriend of the futurist, militarist and writer Gabriele D'Annunzio. There's a book about him a few years ago called The Pike, and the Marchesa, of course, used to dress like Susie Sue. She used to dress like a goth, and this is around about 1905, and she was completely mad. Have a cheetah on a chain and a snake around her wrist and what have you. She was totally bonkers, she really was. And she used to draw black magic symbols over the walls, and of course Fersen loved her. Very, very interesting woman, and I have read a biography of her. And yeah, and he wasn't very happy, but she sort of just used to rock up here, and she had a black servant who, once she painted gold, and the poor guy nearly expired, till a doctor, not Munthe, another doctor, washed all the gold paint off him. You know, she's terribly indulgent, bizarre, crazy woman, and so, you know, quite something. Cafe's not open yet. Looks like it's open a bit later, and it is really nice. So if you come, if you can manage to come here when it's quiet, I really recommend it. And that's the cafe terrace there. And that's not recorded bird song. So today, excuse me, I'm a bit choked up because I've been waiting for it to become this beautiful, and I'm really feeling it now. I'm feeling the full-blown lift of the spirit that I get here on Capri, the sublime island. It's still not quite at its best, but it will do. When Munthe moved here, this was very barren, and he planted all this. The villa was a ruin, so he rebuilt it, decorated it with archaeological finds from around the island, and under the sea, the litter of the Tiberian era. I think we're going to move on now because I've shown you most of the highlights, and yeah, it's just great to be here. It really is. I'd forgotten how lovely it was, actually. It really is beautiful. International editions of the story of San Michele. Obviously, if you're a bibliophile like me, you'll probably like you guys as well, and you can't get a look. Look at this really nice quarter-bound Icelandic one. Wow. Published in 1929. Probably the best-selling Capri book, even exceeding the sales of Norman Douglas's South Wind, which came about 12 years before that. The Blue Lizard. I have bought some stuff here before. I say bird conservation is a very important part of the work of the Munthe Foundation. And there's the man with his dogs. Look at that, it's a hoopoe. Lovely sphinx hoopoe. Pat's got a copy of that. We bought it when we were here, except we bought the English translation, which you can see in there. Two Conchino editions. Hello. You start to see the shop starting to open up along here now. Okay, so next I'm going to take the chairlift up to the top of Monte Solaro. I think I'm going to film from it because, you know, you did drop the camera, but I don't know, you got to live dangerously sometimes, we'll see. and we're on the chairlift. Give you an idea how high up we are. It's only about 15-20 feet. I've done this a few times and taking it down as well like this. I'll probably take more shots going down and looking at, yeah, the it's going to be interesting at the top because it's shrouded in mist, but this gives you a view over Anacapri. It's actually not scary at all. The scariest bit is when you get in the chair, you've just got to be quick, you know, and but there's guys there to look after you. So I'm not going to film the whole thing. I have done that before on a much lower def camera, and you know, it's actually quite boring unless you're doing it. If you're doing it, it's really exciting, of course, you know, that's the thing. You get to see people's gardens and what have you. Wahey! So it's pretty misty here at the top, but here we have more of the cats of Capri. Hey you two getting involved? Tortoiseshell and grey bark? Yeah, what are you doing there? Hey, you think that you would want to stay out of trouble? Hello? I'll just show you the mechanism. It's a bit misty to see anything else really. The guys there, they just pull you off, if you pardon the expression. Yeah, and as you can see, we've got a fantastic view. But I might spend a little bit of time up here actually and keep my fingers crossed that things are going to clear, because normally you've got amazing views up here, but it's pea soup, as they say. Anyway, let's show you the path. I hope the cafe's open. Yeah, so it's a bit like Caspar Friedrich's Wanderer in the Sea of Mist, and it's quite funny because normally you've got an amazing view here. You just can't see anything. Here we are at the top of Monte Solaro, and I've never seen it like this. It's shrouded in mist, as you saw on the way up when I was in the chairlift. And I'm kind of squinting because there is sun, but it's sort of behind the mist. But I guess it's the lack of sleep and the excessive drinking as well. So I thought I'd have a coffee, because I'm going to hang on up here for a while and see if things clear. And I need to go down onto the plain Citrella, which is just below here. I'm going to walk down to Compton Mackenzie's house, and I am tempted to walk down because I've walked down before, but I know, as I said, my feet haven't been that great, so I've got a return ticket, so we'll see. Anyway, time for a coffee. And as you can see, I've got Tiberius with me. I'm not sure if it's meant to be Tiberius or Augustus actually. Augustus discovered the island, but Tiberius obviously was the man here. So yeah, you see this a lot on sort of Instagram pictures, that sort of thing, and they usually tweak slightly. If you stand at the side of him, you can see the Farleone, but there are pictures in books which are definitely tweaked in terms of the positioning of things. it's obviously very touristy up here. You know, a lot of people come for the day. If you do the typical sort of day trip to Capri, come over from the boat from Sorrento, and you get sort of up here, San Michele, then on the chairlift up here to the top of Monte Solaro to this cafe, back down maybe the Blue Grotto, and you're away, you know. So people miss the other side of the island, the side I've been showing you the last few days, with Lysis and Tiberio and Casa Colmi and what have you. So this is more like the typical Capri experience, apart from the weather. Anyway, time for more coffee. Well, it's a bit of a washout because you can't see anything at all, and normally the view, as I say, is amazing. So I'm just going to head down onto the plain of Citrella now. Then maybe later on some of this will burn off, but it just doesn't feel warm enough, unfortunately. So this is where we're going. The steps here are quite primitive, as you can see, and I'm trying to avoid the goat droppings. And there's some of the guys there. I was wondering where the goats are. There they are there, and there's a load ahead, so maybe I'll try and capture some footage. I'll try not to fall. Let's hope none of them are the goat of Mendes. Let's hope they're not in the devil rides out mode and they're ready to attack in their satanic ways. So Capri, the Isle of Goats. Never seen so many goats. Hi guys. Brilliant. Of course they're all over the path, and I don't want to upset them and frighten them, but how am I going to get past them? I'm not normally very afeared of animals, you know. They're usually cute little guys. Brilliant. This is the point probably where one comes up behind and butts me. And there's the chairlift. And to think that I'm going to reascend those steps later. Here we go. Hey little goats. It's rather a big boy there. I might try and walk around them actually, because we don't want them to get upset. You know, it's their world too. But you know, they're domestic animals. Are you domesticated? You look quite wild to me. So maybe we'll make our way through the plants instead. One tends to get into these mountainous adventures on Monte Solaro, this area. So we're just going to head down here now. I have sat here before, and when Pat and I went to Cetrella before, we just walked out the front of the barn, just down the hill and followed our noses. And the very first time we went down the Passiatello, the mountain pass, which was pretty hairy, which I'm never going to do again. So here we are. So I'm just having a sit down a minute, get my breath back. You saw the goats, weren't they great? I've seen more goats this time on Capri than I've ever seen. In fact, most times I've been here, I haven't seen any at all, and I've seen tons this time. Perhaps they like the sort of more damp weather, who knows. So there's Anacapri down there. We're going to get down there later on, as I say. But now we're going to walk along to the plain of Cetrella. So I'm just going to show you the way. Now this path behind me, you can walk down into Anacapri, and I may actually do that because it's not too bad from what I remember. I don't think I can be bothered to ascend back up to the top, even though I paid for a return ticket. It's only cost me €3 more than a single, but I don't think I can face it, and I don't think the view's going to be that great. So as you come up here from Anacapri, there's these stations of the cross. This isn't one of them. This is just like a little Catholic shrine, as you see, to the Virgin Mary. We're just going to go along here. Look at that, there was obviously something here once. So yeah, but this is a really nice little walk. and I can feel the sun. The sun is there, it's trying to burst through the clouds. So this is Citrella. So when Compton Mackenzie lived on Capri, initially lived at Villa Solitaria, and I think he moved in about 1913. And he was there for a few years and he moved up here, and it was a hell of a job to get the shopping up here, I know that much, it really must have been. So this is the plain beside the very peak of Monte Solaro. It's all Monte Solaro, so this is kind of a plateau, and as you know, I do like a plateau, being a Arthur Conan Doyle Lost World guy. So there's not more insects up here, I'm seeing butterflies and little solitary wasps and what have you. So yeah, so I'm just going to show you Mackenzie's house here, and there's a little church, and with a bit of luck we should be able to get the views that we would have got from the bar. They're just a bit lower down, they're probably better views actually from what I remember, and if I can't get them I'll just stick some stills up. I'm really sorry it hasn't turned out the way that I wanted it to for us. And here's one of the Stations of the Cross here, and as you see, this is where Christ is being nailed to the crucifix, one of the less charming Roman habits. Yeah, it's pretty disappointing that there's so much mist up here on Monte Solaro after San Michele, which was pretty good. We actually got some sunshine and blue sky and blue seas. So, you know, we'll make our way back down to Anacapri now. I think I am going to walk down. I'm not going to go back up to the bar up there. It has to be said, the service there is dreadful. And if you go to the loos, they expect you to pay for them. So, you know, it really is. The prices aren't too bad. It was only €5 for a coffee. If you have one in the Piazza, it's usually about £7. So it is cheaper, but then you've paid money to come up here, and they've got a monopoly, and I have to say I wasn't very impressed today. But you know, I've had some great drinks up there before and had some nice times, so you know, I guess they are making what they can. But I do feel the island isn't as sharp as it was in terms of service and everything, and I think it's starting to develop more of a money grabbing thing. Some people would have said it's been like that for years, but I certainly haven't found that in the past. I found that in Positano, where there's certainly, you know, you go in a shop, they won't let you take pictures or anything, you know, you've got to buy stuff and what have you, which you don't get so much here. But I do think it's probably trying to recover after the pandemic, because an awful lot of money will have been lost for a couple of years, you know. So, and of course nobody knew it was coming, so it was difficult. Local people, if they didn't have money put aside, you know, they'd be in trouble. But they do okay here, it has to be said. So instead of retracing my steps, as it were, I've retraced my steps from Cetrella. This is the path down to Anacapri, which isn't too bad from what I recall. I remember talking to a really nice lady who was walking her dog up here a few years ago, and she lived here. God, so lucky. It's a lovely dog as well. And the English was impeccable, and she'd lived here all her life. How lucky can you be? So, you know, fingers crossed. It's quite nice here. The bad weather's in the north, that's the thing, and it's coming over from the mainland. It's not so bad in the south, but we're going to get down to Damecuta now, which is a Roman ruin, one of the Tiberian villas. Not as impressive as Villa Jovis, because it's basically just foundations. It's a very beautiful setting and hardly anybody goes there, and I hope to show you a few more things there as well. So here we are, it's 11:30, and as you can see, the tourists are out in force. That's it. Heliport, helicopter. So this is where you get your chopper, if you pardon the expression, if you're Mariah Carey or something like that. We're going to go to Damecuta, and a helicopter ride from the airport in Naples here to Capri costs about 1,500 euros. Boy, would I like to do that one day. Wow. So this site is down towards the Blue Grotto, the Grotto Azzurra, and I do have an all-day bus ticket, but it doesn't work on that bus, which is rather annoying. And of course you ask them to stop at Damecuta, and you know, luckily there's a lady getting off, obviously worked to the hotel just up the road, because I have been here before and I checked a YouTube video of a bus ride down here, but you know, it's potluck if you just ring the bell and get off. But it's a beautiful place, as you'll see, and there'll be nobody here. We might see a helicopter taking off if we're lucky. Fancy living here. So we're on the south side of the island now, and just down there you can walk right the way along that coast, and beyond the point there is Faro, the lighthouse, and I'm going to get down there tonight. And yeah, this is sort of like downtown Anacapri, really beautiful, as you see. Fantastic. So serene. This is only my second time, and this is actually a Roman road, because in theory Tiberius had 12 villas, one for each sign of the zodiac, but there's no actual evidence of that at all. But there definitely was a villa here, and they reckon it must have been Tiberian, and it was abandoned after, because Tiberius died in the sort of about, when was it, 37 AD? I'll put the right sort of date up on the screen. But people lived here afterwards. But it was abandoned in AD 79 after the eruption of Vesuvius, the big one, when Pompeii was buried. And the Blue Grotto is actually down there. You see there's some boats. And this is like the Naval Institute or something. Which obviously one is not allowed in. Teleposto Meteo. Aeronautica Militaire, so the Navy meteorological station, I guess. It's great, isn't it? This is in some of the better guidebooks, but generally speaking, nobody comes here, which is exactly why I've come here. And here's a Ballardian spot. Here's the heliport, green light. I guess that means the helicopters are cleared to land here. And there was one taking off just as I got off the bus, but I doubt whether I'll be lucky enough to see another one here. But here's the helipad, the windsock. You see it's all set up. There's the little fire engine there just in case. Yeah, very Ballardian spot. Love it. Pity we weren't a few minutes earlier, we would have caught that chopper properly. Yeah, so this is Capri Airport, and there's a little lizard. There he goes. Yeah. In the background you might just about be able to hear somebody with a megaphone, because the Blue Grotto is just down below here. And what you do, you take a boat from Marina Grande, a big boat, or not a big boat, a medium-sized boat, and you get ferried around, and then you get off into like a little canoe. You have to lie down on your back, and the pilot, I guess is the correct term, pulls you through on a chain, because it's a very narrow opening into the Blue Grotto. The Blue Grotto is quite big. I was hoping to do it this time, because I've never done it, and I guess it's going to have to be the next time, but it's very much a tourist rather than a traveller thing. So was Tiberius debauched or not? What I do know is that he had great taste to come and have a villa built here, and everything you see is part of the villa. So obviously, you know, it was quite big. I'm just kind of relishing the fact that there's nobody here actually. I love these wooden fences, it's so cool. I even love the fences in Italy, and that's the tree as well, as I've said. The trees here are just fantastic, all types. Now this is a typical example of the towers that dot the Amalfi Coast, and there's several here on Capri. This is probably the finest example, and there are lots and lots down the Amalfi Coast, because of course they were watchtowers for the days when there were pirates and slavers, and you know, we hear a lot about the slave trade these days, but the fact was that the Moors, as they used to be called then, were very big on enslaving Christians, you know, white Christians, and plenty of that used to go on. Okay, let's show you the view. So yeah, just down there, there's the hotel above the Blue Grotto, and there's a little bar, which I've had a drink at in the past, and you can see people going in on the boats. And here's some boats heading there right now. Yeah, so as you see, the tower is locked. It's fantastic, isn't it? Great, isn't it? And everywhere you look, these fantastic trees. The Sorrentine Peninsula. you.